Hello, beautiful muses. Welcome back to Cosmo Muse Tarot, and this reading is for the month of March 2023. We have a new pick a card, and like usual, I am using the I-Ching cards I've got to help you decide which pile has your most aligned reading for the energies around March for you. Okay, let's take a look at these different piles. Pile 1, we have hexagram 53, a steady pace, wind above, mountain below. Pile 2, we've got number 30, clinging like fire, fire above, fire below, so very fiery. Okay, number 3, pile 3, we've got 22, grace and beauty, mountain above, fire below. Okay, and then last pile, number 4, we have 62, attention to detail, thunder above, mountain below. So we've got all but one pile with a mountain in here, so that seems to be interesting energy for March. So as you look at these piles, don't necessarily be drawn to the title. A lot of times what these hexagrams or the title is about is a little different than you would think, so don't let that be a driving force. Just feel into the energy of these piles represented by the cards and like what is drawing you in beyond a title, beyond which one you think's the prettiest, beyond any of those things. Just kind of really sort of feel into which one has sort of a anchoring, settled feeling to you. Okay, so for those of you that like the breath work I do, we'll do that now. So place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel that stability and support under you, and sort of even just ground yourself into that, into embodiment and grounding. So take a deep breath and settle into your body. And now take a deep breath and pull that oxygen up, up, up to the space between your brows. Hold it there. Suck in a little more to add pressure there. And then out loud, exhale that out and open up your crown chakra, inviting in inspiration, as well as higher guidance from your intuition and higher self. And yeah, take a minute here if you need to do more breaths or just feel into the piles or whatever process you have. And when you're ready, you can pause here, and then when you're ready, the timestamps for your pile will be in the descriptions. And then one quick note before I move on is I did used to do little mini readings for your astrology sign with these March readings. And I've switched that to doing, I really equate the switch of month more with like a numerological shift rather than an astrological shift. So I'm doing little mini readings by life path number, which you can find on Google. And instead of attaching it to this video, I do have a SUBSTACK for Cosmo Muse, which is a lot more astrologically focused than tarot focused. But I am going to house those monthly numerological mini readings for your life path number on that. And there's options for free subscription to that Substack or a paid subscription. The free one still has plenty of amazing, great content. The paid one just has more and more in-depth things. But definitely check out at least the free one. And for several months, I'll be doing that one as free. I may end up switching it into the paid account. But yeah, no, there's plenty of beautiful free content there too as well. So that link to subscribe to my Substack will be in the descriptions as well. All right, I will see you guys in your piles. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your March reading. You guys picked hexagram 53, which is a steady pace, wind above, mountain below. And this card in your reading is sort of the environment. So what are the things, the external forces in your month that will be influencing you and pushing on some sort of growth that the kind of cosmic energies want you to go through. And for this card, to me, this is like the energy of the tree. And what I mean by that is there's something around you trying to get your attention, or the universe is trying to get your attention. It wants you to put effort into your growth, your evolution in life by developing a much stronger sense of commitment and focus and steady kind of moving toward things, towards something. This may already be something you're aware of, or this might be something that comes up. But when I think of a tree and its life cycle, I think of many, many years. So there's something that is either coming really deeply into focus that is already sort of in, this big thing that is a many-year focus, dedication, commitment in your life. And it could even be something like family, but it might be a project or a career. It could be, all sorts of things. But something external in your environment is trying to get your attention here. That's time to, in March, to kind of further your commitment, further your dedication, further your understanding of how something very big and important is growing and developing in your life. And so the things to watch, because there's a spectrum here of how this can go, because this kind of growth, this kind of deep commitment, and the energy of the tree is one of like deep awareness of your environment. And it can come with a lot of fear. So on sort of the low end of the spectrum, functioning out of fear, you can be approaching whatever this is through either a solemnness or a fickleness, which is either a repression or a reaction energy to the fear of like not wanting to commit. So solemn and sort of staying more to yourself and too scared to initiate things or commit to things. And then the fickle energy is still a fear, but you're it's still reacting to this commitment, but it's sort of like this inability to deepen into anything. So flitting from one thing to another, trying to calm that impulse, that compulsion to deepen, to commit to things, to grow in life by constantly growing new things, but not ever sticking with one thing. So that's something to ask if that's an energy on the higher side, and where the universe will be trying to push you, and you may already be here, we're all on a spectrum, but where the universe wants to push you is to, like, whatever this thing is that's needing to be focused on and really grown in a slow, steady, strong way for you, whatever you relate to that being. The universe wants to help your growth in understanding this about becoming more and more aware of your environment. So if you think of a tree, it's not just growing up or down or out, it's growing in all the directions all at once. And it tends to, in its root systems, plug into the fungi systems, and it utilizes the sunlight, and it's utilizing all sorts of things in nature. It's very, very aware of the ecosystem. So this is just a metaphor, but there's something in your life in March that's trying to get your attention to deepen your commitment and focus to growing it stronger over a long period of time. So even though we're only in a month, there's just something in this month that the external world is really trying to help you get and grow, and your understanding of your awareness of everything that's affecting something that's trying to grow or that you're trying to grow in your life, and really deepening a commitment here and understanding the unifying energy around you and how to tap into that. And that when you are more aware and open to growing in many directions around this particular thing, there becomes, like, in that lifestyle of growth and death and recycling and rebirth, the tree tends to, even though it does have that kind of a cycle that's very long, but it kind of can curb that in terms of smaller cycles because of how unified and connected in so many different directions it is, that there is like a continual replenishing that takes place for the growth of the tree. So the growth of things that you're going very slowly, steadily, and in multi directions. So think about something you want to grow in that kind of way that's that important to you. So it could be something really, really foundational, like family, or like a very specific career, but there might be something new that comes up in March that you're like, that I want to commit myself to that. And you begin this process. So just sort of this awareness coming through. It's sort of a really big message coming from the external world for you. Okay, so now we're going to look at what your energy is, what your agenda is. So the outside world's trying to incorporate this as your agenda, but you're going to come into the month with an agenda of what your energy is, where you're coming from, what you're feeling like. So we're going to use the animal cards to look at this. So turtle, and this matches beautifully. So I feel like you're really going to take to what the external world is sort of presenting to you very, very well. Turtles are already slow and steady creatures. They already deeply, deeply care for their environment. They know how to meld earth and water, so it already is an animal that really incorporates two elements beyond its one main element. It has two main elements. So there's already, to me, in your view, and maybe that's why the external world thinks you're ready for this kind of huge thing to be pushed on you, or growth in this type of thing, is that you're ready for it. You're very evolved. Turtles are very ancient creatures. There's something, maybe you're quite an old soul, or your energy just coming into the month is very calm and grounded and caring for the elements of your life, and just really knows how to bring things together. And the turtle, it has 13 little, these main kind of tiles on its shell, and that is the number of the divine feminine. So there is this, around the turtle, this deep, nurturing, nourishing quality. So this really could, for a lot of you, have to do with family, or something to do with your feminine side, however you identify. Maybe your feminine side needs some dedication, or that's where you're coming from. You're interested in deepening that. But really beautiful. It definitely feels sort of like your energy and what the external forces are trying to get your attention on are both very slow, steady things. So I feel the energy of March for you being very slow, steady, sensual, aware, grounded. Really, really beautiful energy there. Okay, let's look at sort of an angelic, or it's really the priestesses of light. So sort of a guidance energy around you, which could also give some clues as to things about your March. So deep emotions, priestess of deep emotions, unknown feelings, past life influences. So there may be some That's very interesting. So some deep feelings coming up. There could be some past life memories or just things that feel like deja vu happening, feelings that you don't understand where they're from, and sort of strange synchronicities. It all feels like very mysterious, but like, you know, your slow pace and the pace the month is trying to push on you as well. I think that slowness is helping you to see very deep, deep, deep down into your depths, into the depths of your ancestral realm, into the depths of the history of Earth. So you may even be dealing with, you know, emotions of the world. Yeah, just a lot of deep feelings, but I feel, you know, you're calm, but this priestess is coming in to, I think, even give you more calm because of how deep you're going. She wants to sort of protect the depth you're touching into, which could be a bit overwhelming or flooding to you, but she's here to sort of hold some of that, I feel like. Hold your energy, keep you steady, keep you feeling safe so you can go deeper and deeper. So that's really beautiful. So it feels like particularly when you think of the growth of a tree and whatever you're relating that to, in terms of something you're, you know, is wanting to grow multi-directional and strong and great in your life, there may be a focus on the root system, the foundations in your life of this particular thing. So yeah, I mean, that definitely makes me think of home or family, but it doesn't have to be that. Definitely could be whatever, you know, whatever comes for you. Okay, so next we are going to look at what I call the 4 directions of life, your cardinal directions. So that's self. Where's your energy, drive, motivation kind of coming from? What's your direction? And then we're going to look at your depth, which is how you need to be nurturing yourself and life. And then we're going to look at relational energy, and then we're going to look at sort of position and outer world focus. So that could revolve around studies, it could revolve around work and career, it could revolve around other kind of responsibilities on your shoulder in the outer world, whatever that may be. Okay, so, oh my gosh, literally can't make it up. So where your drive, what's sparking energy in you, what's making you feel centered and giving you motivation is to be going deep, deep down into your depths, into your soul. That is not just something that's on your agenda that's sort of like a pressure you're putting on yourself, but something that's giving you energy. So that's a really nice alignment to have here. It's something that's feeding you. I feel like this is a compulsion this month. Okay, so yeah, so the more you stay plugged into going deeper, instead of forward or up, it's down. The direction this month is deep. It's downward. It's into the soul, into stabilizing your foundations, the things that nourish and nurture you. And it's really filling up your cup, giving you energy and drive. Okay, so now we're going to look at what kind of self-care you're going to need to focus on this month to keep yourself nourished and sort of maturing. So focus. This says, where have I been directing my focus? Is what I give my focus to worthy of my attention? When distractions arise, how can I create an anchor to keep myself rooted in my vision? As I set my focus on what I am desiring to create, I can be confident that distractions will lose their appeal. So going back to when I was talking about the spectrum with this steady pace, where there can be on sort of the lower side of this, not like grasping it well, is where that either solemn or fickleness is. And so I feel like there may be some fickle energy. Not saying you are fickle, but in relation to whatever this ends up being for you in March, this thing that's really needing you to commit and deepen and be in it for the long haul, there may be some fears that feel distracting, that make you want to do other things and not fully commit to something because it's going so slow. But the more you can just nurture that, nurture something about a pace, nurture something about a deep focus, because I do feel like there is a little bit of fear of that, which makes sense. The way this is coming in, of like how deep both yourself and the external environment are wanting to push you. I mean, I can't imagine there not being some fear creeping in. So, and in you, that might be manifesting as like wanting to start other new things. And it's like, keep focused. Something about that will really nourish and nurture you. So create rituals that nurture your focus, that make this feel pleasurable, that make this feel soft and safe and beautiful. What are some rituals you can do around it to connect to the pleasure of whatever this is for you, this deepening, this committing to something? Okay, now let's look at your relational energy for the month. So how you are relating with others. So that can be love relationships, friend relationships, work relationships, family relationships. This is generally your relational energy. So fourth chakra, the heart chakra, which is gorgeous to get. So the energy of the heart chakra supports our inner guidance system, which is governed by our heart and the capacity to love deeply. Look at this, keep coming in deeply. So much about these deep, deep things. So just stick with it. Trust that depth. Trust that that is meant for this month. Another month, April may bring some lightening up in other ways, but there's some very deep things going on this month. And so even there may be something about your relationships that's involved in some particular relationship that's involved in really deepening the heart connection there, deepening coming from your heart in relationships. That could even just be what this is all about for you. I definitely get the sense still that this is home or family for a lot of you, but for some it could be deepening a heart connection in a relationship that is really feeling like it has the potential to go the distance and to really expand your life in a steady, beautiful, big way. And maybe it's both those things, and maybe it's something totally different, just sort of throwing it out there. Okay, so next but whatever the case, even if you don't relate some sort of relationship to the tree thing and the deepening into the roots thing, relationships come from your heart. Really drop into, when you're feeling things about others, whether it's positive or difficult, try and drop into your heart and ask how your heart wants to respond, and bridge or relate toward this person and this relationship in general. Okay, now let's look at your outer world. So it could be career and work, it could be school, it could be just other duties, things on your shoulders. Oh my gosh. You seriously can't. I think there's multiple things that you're really needing in general, and I think this is why this guide is coming in, the deep emotions, priestess of deep emotions. It's like every aspect of your life is needing this kind of depth and commitment. So yeah, overall, March is asking you to slow down, to look at the big picture of things, to become much more aware of what's around each thing in your life and how you can just aware of the ecosystem around every anchor point of your life, but specifically this month, how to deepen and stabilize these things. So yeah, with career, deep knowing. So there's something maybe in your third eye, there's something inside of yourself when it comes to things in the outer world, and you have to trust, that it may seem sometimes illogical or out of nowhere, or how do I trust this? But there's some deep knowing within you, and the slowness of the month is asking you to drop into that knowing and trust that knowing, because there's something very deep and wise. Seeing the owl here, there's something very wise about what this deep knowing is, that could help you deepen and further commit and further grow. What is a deep knowing? Ask yourself that every time you're sort of really your focus is pulled toward the outer world. Ask what you deeply know about that moment, about this external world pressure and responsibility. What do you deeply know? And there's something there that will really help whatever is growing in that area of your life, in career or school or other big responsibilities. Wow, this just feels like anchoring in for so much deep growth in potentially several areas. So I don't feel like it's a month where you may have urges, like we saw in the wording of the focus card, to start new things, to kind of drop into lighter, more fickle energy because of how deep everything is getting in your life. But if you can stay focused, relate from deep within your heart, move in the outer world from deep knowings, nurture yourself by making rituals that feel pleasurable about committing to focuses and commitment and deepening in those, and filling up your energy by allowing yourself to go deep when that compulsion arises. So it's just like everything is just deep. Yeah. Okay, we are going to use some tarot cards now to just get any other messages from Spirit that want to come through. Whether it's adding context to what we've already seen or bringing up things that we have not seen yet. We'll just see what happens. Nine of Cups. Four of Swords. The Lovers, okay. Knight of Swords. And the Hanged Man. Okay, really interesting story coming through here. All right, so what I'm getting is that whatever is deepening, even if it's one or several things in your life, just generally your depth maybe is deepening, or your connection to soul. But whatever is deepening, and even if it's many things, there is something here connected to wish fulfillment. I think these are things, or a thing that you've held some deep wishes about, and you've been through. I don't think any of the stuff that's requiring the deepening is new. I think this is all stuff that's been swirling in your world for a long time, but some really amazing deep understandings and meaning are coming through here, which is giving you the ability to kind of compose better and hold complexity better. And with that, that ability to hold space and complexity, because you've learned a lot and you've been through experientially a lot here. The way you're able to better hold things coming through this month is allowing things. It's like you're allowing things to happen now instead of trying to push or control. And you're allowing things to happen because you've been through a lot and you've had to, it's been a long road, I believe. Whatever this is connecting to, and still could be several things. But the way you're able to allow and now just hold things, self-composing starts to happen, and this awareness of where things can go. So an awareness of how to broaden certain boundaries and allow certain complexities in, and the composing that just naturally takes place without you even interfering is starting to help sort of wish fulfillment come through here. And then the Four of Swords is coming through to say, like, just, like, calm your mind. Mindfulness practices, things that really just drop you into body and breath and allow your mind to be calm and just not necessarily repressing or slowing down or, changing what's in there, but becoming less attached, being able to step back and just watch the ideas come and go and not be attached to them. So finding like a mindfulness practice, I think that focus we saw in how to nurture yourself, I think that could be a really, if that resonates for you, a mindful, like incorporating a mindfulness practice every day to calm your mind and become less attached to what the mind is saying, doing, thinking. Just allow the things to come and go like clouds. And then we see the Lovers, and I did get just that smidge of a feeling that there is this, because of how deep everything is going for you, there is this smidge of fear that will crop up here and there. I think for the most part you're settled and anchored in this and okay with it, but I think at moments the fear of how deep things are going is going to crop up, and it is going to give you that fickle side of things, of like wanting to initiate other new things because of like fear of how deep things are going. And what the Lovers card to me is saying about that is like, that's okay. Maybe get out and move around with within your neighborhood, within your community, with peers. Do some light, fun things that don't require you to commit to other things and start other things, but you still can find lightness in your life away from the things that you're deepening. Just do some fun activities. And I think that will help you to stay away from trying to initiate new things in your life, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing this month. But do get out and have fun and move around in light, flirtatious, more fickle ways in your social kind of life is what I'm feeling here, and that will really help to kind of take care of that. So those moments where you're feeling like, I want to start something else or something new, ask yourself, is this because of fear, and is this going to take away from my focus on things that are really deepening right now? And if the answer is yes, then it's like, okay, so how can I move this fear? And is that maybe through doing something social or getting out and doing something active? That's probably going to be the case. And I'm feeling that same way about the Knight of Swords. There is this energy in you that's kind of like wanting to make things go a little faster, or reacting to some fear coming up. And again, it's just sort of like, find the courage within you to allow things that are deepening to focus, to create practices around this, to find ways to make it pleasurable. kind of settle that impetuous, both of these are kind of to me saying the same thing, but they're coming from the same place, but they do have different directions. This is about, it's okay to still be light in life and go do social things. This is directing you of like how to deal with some of that. The Knight is saying you're going to need to find some courage within. And tying back to that mindfulness stuff I was talking about, finding some courage from within, settling some things, and that there might be some impetuousness in you that wants to make impulsive decisions that are coming from the mind. And I want to say, like, drop back into, we saw the heart coming up for relational energy. And I want to direct you to the heart again when you feel impetuous, like you're needing to push things to happen. Drop back into your heart, and it will kind of give you that wisdom you need to settle something, to find a way to be a little bit more responsive versus reactory towards something. And, Knights do like to have fun. So maybe it's like asking that impetuous side of you to just do some fun things with friends, to blow off, that angst it's feeling inside with a beer and I don't know, a hike or something, and this could be even physical, like doing something physical, like hiking. That could take care of that impetuous, like angst in you, especially in your mind. I think like hiking, walking, some sort of physical exercise, I think also will help with this. And then the Hanged Man coming in, I think by the end of the month, I think you're going to get over the hump of some of this impetuous and anxious, fearful, impetuous energy of how deep you're having to go in certain things. And I think by the end of the month, you're really going to, because what you're deepening in is very slow moving, slow and steady, it's hard to see the progress sometimes. But I think by the end of the month, all of a sudden something is going to surprise you and shift your perspective, and even further deepening into your heart will happen, and a change of heart will take place because you're seeing better through your heart. So it's sort of like something that you're struggling to either deeply commit to or qualm some fears around with all this deep work. Like suddenly by the end of the month, it's like you really drop into your depth, your heart space, and you're seeing better from your heart. And there's a change of heart here in terms of how beautifully and well you are able to commit to some, whatever this thing or these things are, and it will just feel right. I have to grab one more deck that I forgot to bring over. I just wanted to leave you guys with a feather message at the end, but I need to go grab it. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, last message here to end this reading. Just leaving you with a message from Spirit, just sort of an uplifting something. Goose, your dreams and desires are calling you to action. The journey begins today. Beautiful. Yeah, I feel like there are wish fulfillments here. There are things you worked on for a long time that are starting to finally kind of manifest, even if it's slow going, even if there's some fears for how deep you're having to go or how much space and complexity you're having to hold. I think it's a dream. I think this is something that's a compulsion in you, and the doors are opening for it to start really coming into your life in a more manifest way. So gorgeous. All right, happy March, Pile 1. I hope it is really beautiful, and good luck with this amazing deepening, studying, just really big work you're doing here. And definitely, if this resonates, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Little comments are fun to read, and definitely subscribe if you are not yet. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your March reading. For you guys, you picked the 30th hexagram, clinging like fire, fire above and fire below. So this card in your reading is representing sort of your external world in March. So what is the agenda of the universe? What is it wanting to bring your attention to? What kind of growth is it wanting to push you to go through, that kind of thing? And with this card, it's all about desire here, and finding sort of that thing, really focusing on what's luminous in you, what's luminous in others, what's luminous in life, and really using that as a focal point when the external world is really pushing a lot of desirous things your way. We tend to react to that, and things that from the outside of us that bring up desires in us, we tend to have two different ways we come into this. And that is either like an over seriousness in wanting to control desire, because desire can be for some a very scary thing. And so there can be an over serious reaction here in trying to sort of repress what you're feeling and repress certain desires, maybe certain associations to guilt or shame around certain desires that come into you could come up. Or we can become very flippant and eschew any sort of moral framework and just say, life is to be pleasurable, and just exhaust ourselves in trying to fulfill our desires. And so what's being asked here in the world, the universe is trying to bring some lessons to you here about understanding an approach to desire that's natural and appropriate at the same time, is what's luminous. What's luminous here? So when you think about responding to your desire, if you're feeling shame or guilt, you could ask questions of like whether you're repressing something in yourself, or if you're feeling just sort of addictive or overly engaged to the point where you're feeling exhausted. You could ask if you're trying to fill something up that's impossible. It's never possible to fulfill desire completely. It never goes away. And so that flippant reaction can exhaust us, because it's like you're trying to fulfill all of your desires all of the time, and that's just not possible. So what you can do is just focus on what feels luminous. And that's always going to, because that luminosity can come from seeing through our heart, is always going to steer us in that right middle road of what is appropriate and natural in the moment to us. And it helps us to surrender into that we are human, we have desires, and finding a little bit of humor in that, but also being able to respond to desire in a more mature way by just allowing, like, I'm human, I have desires, so what's luminous here? How can I approach this by focusing on the luminous point? And it comes from this place, if you want to intellectualize it, which is not always the best thing to do, but articulate maybe how the heart sees, if you can even do that, that luminosity. It is, admitting like I'm not immune to desire, but I know that there's no fulfilling desire. And I also know that build up and release of desire is pleasurable. And there's somewhere in that of like understanding you can never fully fulfill desire in general, but there can be build up and releases that are pleasurable about desire. And if it's sort of like really containing that, that's sort of how that luminosity is found. And there's a little bit of humor in there as well, because you just know that like as humans, this is just a quandary for us. So yeah, but like what's luminous? Really be drawn to what's luminous about anything from the external world that is making desire arise within you. Approach that by responding to things that feel luminous, that make you feel luminous, that make others feel luminous, and that make life feel luminous. Okay, so this is what the world, what the universe is trying to push you to do some growth in March. But you have your own agenda when you come into March too. So we want to see where you're at, what your energy is containing, and then we'll see sort of how these might interact a little. So you've got the cobra, which is a fire animal itself. The cobra can be very focused. It's in this deck, it's sort of about the teacher, whether it's you coming into a mode of being able to teach something because you have some sage wisdom, or coming into the right teacher at the right time for something. So I don't know that what is coming up for you around mentoring, teaching sage wisdom that's in your energy, or that your energy seeking relates to desire. It might, but it might relate to something else entirely. But the cobra is very focused, and I think it, when I think of, not necessarily looking at the cobra because he feels so serious to me, but when I think of that sage wisdom and people with sage wisdom, I think that they have an amazing sense of humor. And so it makes me feel like because you're in a sage moment, or you're going to be attracting other sage wisdom or mentors into your life, I think you in your agenda are really learning how to surrender into your humanness. There's something sage about that, and finding some humor about, the perils of being on a human journey. So I do think you're going to be able to come into this with a lot of wise, responsive instead of reactive approach to desires coming up in you. But when I do look at specifically this image, I feel a little bit more on that over serious side, if anything, of like trying to control desire and repress desires. So keep an eye on specifically asking if in any moment when you're trying to curb, if you're ever trying to curb desire, if this is squashing any luminosity in you, because the cobra is a fire sign, so you should be very connected and aware of that fire energy, that luminosity. So I think that's a really good tool to have this month, and especially I feel especially around asking if you're ever repressing something here. Okay, we also want to look at which priestess of light, so like more of a spirit guide energy, wants to come in and add some protection and guidance for you this month, which may give us some other clues about things going on. Innovation, new creations. So the desires that are arising in you may be a little bit more about ideas. Which is sort of exciting too. They might be all over the place, but there may be something specific about desires within ideas that are innovative, that are kind of pushing the boundaries of certain things, that are different, experimental. Ask your higher guidance and any guidance you feel outside of you to find attraction, to lead you to the right innovations, the right experimentation. Sometimes when we get into that innovative vein, especially if there's some entanglement here with desire, that experimental realm can burn us. It can have us doing things that maybe we wouldn't normally do, that are beyond sort of the boundaries of what we're comfortable with. So again, in this guide, this priestess is holding very luminous energy in both of her hands and rising from kind of like her crown area as well. And so just asking for guidance of like being attracted and knowing which innovations, new ideas to pursue, to engage in, to respond to, in terms of if they feel luminous. And I think that's a very, very good tool for you guys this month. What feels luminous? What feels luminous in you? What feels luminous in others? What feels luminous in life, and specifically maybe for you, what feels luminous in this experiment, this idea, this innovation, and following that. Okay, now I want to look at what I call the 4 cardinal directions of life. So it's sort of what's feeding your drive and energy this month. Self-care and deepening and nurturing. What kind of self-care and nourishment do you need this month to stay sort of grounded and pushing into maturing things in your life? What is the relational energy in you this month? And then outer world, so career, schooling, work, any sort of responsibilities on your shoulder. What's the energy around that? Okay, so we're going to start with the self. What is sort of lighting you up? What's giving you drive? So nourishment in general. So you may need to give yourself in March a little bit more downtime, more self-care. Whatever sounds nourishing to you, that could be massages, it could just be having time to yourself, it could be social life, it could be hiking, it could be travel, whatever to you in the moment feels like it would nourish you. You need to, and that could be, following a desire that feels luminous. There's something in your energy, in your drive, that needs like the cup replenished this month. You need some, and that could be maybe why some desire from the outer world is coming in, that, following it in a luminous way. These desires could be things that really fill you up and replenish you, but they could also burn and exhaust you. I think it goes both ways here. Another tool is this nourishing, is this desire nourishing, because that is what is feeding my energy and my centering this month as well. Okay, now let's look at, this is kind of funny because how do you need to self-care this month? Surrender. Are there relationships, places, or perspectives that I've outgrown and I'm still holding on to? How would it feel to surrender and fully trust what is meant for me won't miss me? How can I take a step toward letting go today? I surrender my need to control this situation and trust that life has better things in store for me. And that is giving me a lot of actual insight that maybe some of this desire energy from the universe coming in is sort of trying to help you to see different and new things, because maybe there's some big chapters ending in your life, or some things that you're having to release, let go of, which can make you feel like there's voids or holes in your life, and maybe the universe is trying to come in to help spark new desires within you. I do feel like new creation, new desire coming in. And so the surrender here to me is allowing space to take place, allowing, if anything, naturally. I don't think this is a thing of like needing to let anything go in terms of just giving up, but if you just sort of say, what, you know, whatever needs to happen, I'm just going to let it happen. And if things on their own seem to want to dissipate, dissolve, leave, whatever, there's something about that surrender to that just allowing that to take place is creating the space needed for new desires to start arising. Like they're trying to, I feel like this is the universe saying that they're trying to spark new things to life in you. But there's some things that are maybe cluttered, that are trying to go, that you're maybe clinging on to, that if you can just surrender and they go, that opening comes, and right underneath that are like new desires coming up. Okay. Let's look at your relational energy for the month. So it could be, it's any one-on-one relationship. So it could be love relationships, any relationship with a close friend, a relationship with a family member, a relationship with a work colleague, whatever it is, it's your kind of how you're relating, how you're creating tensions in your life that are, either too tight or too slack or just right kind of thing. And I feel the energy of just right for you, balance. So the frequency of balance supports our ability to find harmony with all aspects of our three-dimensional and multi-dimensional layers of reality. So your relational energy is really strong this month, which is going to really help you to understand that balance point of luminosity as well. You're understanding exactly the right tension of things, just like the Goldilocks and the porridge, like one was too hot, one was too cold, and then one was just right. It's like, I think you're getting that in multifaceted ways this month, not just in your relational domain, but around desire, around surrender, around understanding the sage wisdom of how you allow yourself to be human. I think that understanding of these tools I've already given you, of like asking if this nourishes me and where is the luminosity, I think you're getting that, and you're in a very balanced place. So that's really beautiful to see. Okay, now let's look at outer world. So responsibilities, career, school, whatever it is for you, round and round. This is beautiful. So we all know life is not a linear thing. It happens in seasons and cycles, and things have curves and learning curves and seem to circle back on themselves sometime. But when I see this card, I think of the spiral of life. So even though it's cyclical, it's still going up levels. So there is a linear aspect to the cyclicality of life, and this to me is saying that you're leveling up. You're getting to that point in a spiral where you've come full circle on something, and it's not returning to the same place, it's returning to the same place but a step above. It's like a new you're reaching a new octave in things. We're having a lot of musical verbiage here. Yeah, something's coming full circle in terms of career or schooling or whatever, but it's like you're reaching a new level of mastery. It's like you're, you now have a view of, like, let's just call it a year. It might for you be different than that, a week, a month, 5 years. We'll just call it a year. It's like you're returning to a same point where you were a year ago, but this time you have a view from higher up with a higher perspective and more wisdom, more sage wisdom. That's where that sage wisdom's coming through. You've leveled up. You've experientially understood some things and gone through some things. You've been burned by desire and you've repressed desire and you're finding the right balance. And now you have a view and you can see this all, especially around something having to do with school, career, responsibilities, with a much more empowered, broad understanding of like coming up to the same thing. And it's sort of, that's always the good test, when you come up to a very same kind of circumstance that you've had before, but this time you know exactly how to deal with it, and it's like nothing, and you're like, wow. And it's those moments that are like mile markers that help us to recognize and be like, all of a sudden like, oh wow, I've come a long way. That used to really trigger me or throw me off, and this time it's like nothing. So I feel like you're having a moment like that in March around something in your career or schooling or whatever outer world responsibilities are happening for you. Okay, we are now going to look at some tarot cards to get any more context around what we've been talking about, and if anything else wants to come through as well. Wheel of Fortune, yeah. Turning point. So maybe just in general too. You're coming into a much more sage feeling of yourself. You've come to a turning point. You've learned some things. You've been through the fires of life, the desires and fires of life, and you're all handling it all much more wisely because you have the experience under you. Six of Pentacles. It's, ooh, that shot out both of these. Let's see what we've got. King of Wands, the Star. Oh, the Star and Innovation. These link up very well. Okay, one more. And Three of Wands in reverse. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so it's also a month where you need to be open to receiving this month. Whether you feel lack in some area of your life or not is not the point with the Six of Pentacles. There's just something, there's like an influx coming your way. Maybe you need funds for something. Maybe you're fundraising. Maybe you're wanting to take a course that's a little more than you want to spend, or whatever it is. But there's some sort of like boost or offering or scholarship, something, coming your way to add a little bit of material or financial support. And if there is something explicit that you do need, it's okay to go beyond just feeling receptive. It's okay this month to actually ask for this, especially if there's someone specific that you can direct that toward, that you know can help you. I think it's a very positive month. There's a great vibration around that energy this month of being able to receive, and this is stuff that you're not going to have to pay back either. It's not going into debt. This is an offering, a winning, just support of some sort. So just be open to that, even if you don't know what that is right now. Maybe something will come up in March and you'll be like, remember that reading. It's a beautiful month to ask for this or to be really open to receiving. So connect with that. And then King of Wands coming under the Cobra, the Star coming near innovation. Definitely just sort of confirmation to me. You're coming much more into, and I love the fire aspect of the Cobra and the Wands too. It's like you're really mastering understanding desire, understanding being human, and understanding your creativity as well. There's a real mastery around you settling in, and starting to flow through you. It's like you're really grasping it. And that is leading the way, creating the foundation for you to have new dreams, to connect to new possibilities for the future, and new desires arising as you let old things sort of surrender and let whatever is wanting to go without pushing them. Just, there are some things that I think are wanting to dissipate in your life on their own. And if you just let that happen, that star will rise for you. That new hope is going to come through underneath what leaves. And then we've got 3 of Wands upside down. To me, this is just an indication of what I just said. There is new hope. There is new vision that you hold. I think the world is going to present new possibilities to you. Some spirit guide energy around you leading towards that. But I think that you also have a vision within you that's incubating yet. It's just a sensation. You have no visual about it or concrete details about what this is, but I think you can sense there's some new vision within you that is incubating. And the more you let old debris, baggage be and dissolve, and the more you start to see the universe and outside forces leading you toward new possibilities, new hopes, new horizons, the more you're going to start to understand what's incubating in you and start to get a little bit more concrete context around a vision that is within you right now. That's just a sensation at the moment. So yeah, it may not come through even by the end of March, but I think by the end of March, you'll have a concrete understanding that there is something really passionate, a deep desire in you that's incubating. So beautiful. Okay, so to end the reading, we are going to pick a feather message just to leave you with a really beautiful, my goodness, message from Spirit. This makes me think that there's a lot of beautiful messages from Spirit coming your way, but we're just going to pick the main one instead of looking at 50. But that's a beautiful sign. I think there's a lot of beautiful messages, gifts, things coming your way this month. So that's a beautiful surprise to have happened. So be open to receiving a lot of beautiful things. Okay. Robin, new growth and potential is on the horizon. Reach out and embrace it. Exactly. The star, this new innovation, desires coming in, a deep desire incubating in you. Connect to the new, connect to the growth that's taking place. All of the baggage, all of these complex things that you've been holding or grasping or struggling to let go of, it's time. Like, let it go. So much new growth is under the surface. Spring is coming in for you, literally in March if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, but in your own self as well. Beautiful. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you, pile 2. Happy March. I hope it's a really beautiful month for you. If this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Little comments are fun as well, and definitely subscribe if you are not yet. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your March reading. If this is you guys, you picked card or hexagram number 22, Grace and Beauty, Mountain above, Fire below. So this card in the monthly reading is indicative of the external world for your month. Some general energy that is coming in and influencing you from the outside. And so I like to think of this in sort of a distilled way as like where the universe is trying to push us to grow and push things into our life in order to bring us certain openings and challenges and gifts and whatever to, it wants our agenda to focus on certain things that it has in mind for us that help to mature us and grow us and evolve us. And then I also feel like we come in with our own agenda, which we'll look at the energy of that with an animal card afterward. So the energy that the universe is trying to bring into your focus and wanting some of your time and energy around has to do with this card of grace and beauty. And this is a very subtle energy, more so than almost any of the other hexagrams. Some of the things that you could think about as like a metaphor for this energy is like moonlight on water. It's like the word from one thing I read about this hexagram is like context without form. So that moonlight, there's no form to the moonlight. That's context without form. On the water, something about that moonlight on the water is so beautiful. And it really inspires and influences us and moves us. And so there's something that the universe is wanting you to engage with around this kind of energy. And it's the energy of emotion and our understanding of relationship of things. So the moonlight and water have a relationship that created something very graceful and beautiful. But it's an emotional thing. It's not a concrete thing. And it indicates a lot of like progress in small things, inspiration, influence, that kind of thing. But there's always a spectrum. And so the growth, you know, the universe is wanting some growth here. And so wherever you are on this spectrum, you can expect there to be some deepening of understanding, some growth, some evolution in this. On the lowest end of the spectrum, which, you know, no one's really at the lowest unless you're a child, to the highest end, there's dishonor and grace. And down toward that energy of dishonor is this lack of understanding how to take responsibility for your emotions and for your feelings, because there's a lack of awareness of relationship and of other and of empathy. Things that when you're at that lower end, reactions that can happen or the way that you respond in this area is either through repressing or reacting. And the repression energy here is like being too proper, not being in touch with or expressing emotion, stuffing it down, being overly proper. Reactive energy here is like incredibly inappropriate, not paying attention to, you know, like knowing the room, being able to read the room. There's really inappropriate energy that can come in a reaction when you're not reading the room. But then on the high side where the gift is in that grace, in this energy, is this knowing, this always considering the feelings of others and this awareness of other in relationship to everything else in the space you're sharing, in any space you're in. It's like really understanding that and being able to free negatively charged emotions through art, through, you know, so it's like even though you may not you may have some negative emotion that you want to scream or shout or whatever, instead of reacting inappropriately around that, you might take that and like, I do need to express that. That's an honest emotion in me, but I'm going to do that through creating art. And so maybe in my art, I scream, you know, or what, you know, something that represents a scream or some colors that feel like a scream. There's a way of knowing how to take responsibility for emotions and especially how to discharge them in a responsive way that can actually be very beautiful and influential and creative. So yeah, there's an understanding on the high side of this of like, really, it's like being in touch with soul, like being able to live your life with no feelings held in or back, but really understanding how to read the room, how to take responsibility for those emotions and discharge them in ways that make sense of the relational world and end up coming out very creatively and very influentially and very subtly. So something in that spectrum, you may be on the high side or the low side or in the middle, but wherever you are, the universe is trying to bring things in to your sphere of awareness that will push some growth around this, which could be very beautiful growth. It could feel incredible to understand and learn lessons about how to tap into grace and beauty and subtlety and that relational energy that it stems from. Who doesn't want to learn and grow in that, you know? If you're on the low side, it could be in a very emotional month and some very reactive or repressed things happening. So just, pay attention to what's going on with your emotions this month and how the external world is trying to draw on them to help you develop that capacity to discharge them and take responsibility for them in responsive ways. Okay, let's see where your personal energy is. So what you're actually wanting to do this month. Scorpion. So there's some intensity in you. There could be some focus, some deep focus. The Scorpion in this deck tends to have an energy that really likes to focus on work. So there may be a lot coming up in the work sphere for you that this may be where the universe pushes some emotional stuff to come up for you, since this is where you're focused. And you could be intensely feeling things. So I think it's a great, great month to take that intensity that is coming out of you and learn how to discharge it in graceful, beautiful ways. What a amazing challenge to be posed with. How to make that scorpionic energy and intensity graceful and beauty. That marriage feels like incredible influential energy if you're able to do it. So, it may sound like a lot at the moment, but getting through March, if you're able to grow here in the way these are interacting, real potential for influence here to mature into and grow into, even if there are some hard curves to learn. But yeah, really potent stuff. A potent March is what I'm going to say with what you're wanting and what the universe is wanting, and that interaction, it's potent. Okay, let's see what kind of priestess of light you have, which is indicating what kind of spiritual guidance and protection is coming through, which may give more hints as to what to expect in March. Interesting. So death and rebirth, darkness to light. So there may be some big sort of endings or transformations coming through this month, which makes sense with the Scorpio here. Scorpio and death and rebirth feel very intimately connected. It's very Scorpio energy astrologically. Getting under the surface of things, really seeing where there's some blocks or some leaks in your precision, in your deepest resources, in how you share and create intimacy. and connect to broader resources in life. There's something I think you're really digging into this month around this that I think you'll figure out, and it will really get your life force flowing in a much more empowered way by the end of the month. And this might be why the universe is bringing this challenge and growth to you. There may be something about responsibility for emotions and how they're discharged in a very beautiful, graceful, creative way that's the key to this transformation for you, this key to really coming into some deep empowerment in your life. Wow, potent March, guys. Okay, let's now look at what I call the 4 cardinal directions of life and just sort of a little energy around these. So there's energy of self, which is what's sort of giving you drive and direction, the energy of what kind of self-care and nurturing you need to be doing for yourself and around your life. Relational energy, which is just generally how you're relating. So that could be towards a love relationship, a family relationship, a friendship relationship, a work relationship. It doesn't matter. It's sort of generally your relational sort of tensions this month. How are you relating? And then the last one will be about your outer world place. So career, work, school, whatever other outer world responsibilities there are. So let's just see what the general energy around these is in month. Beautiful. Wonderment. What is really giving you drive? What's motivating you, giving you clarity and direction is wonderment, which I feel like very much so is a harmonious connection to what the universe is offering to you. Really be aware of the outside world, your relation to it. Take walks, pay attention, let your mind wander specifically like on nature or on how people are relating to others. Just anything you can kind of focus your attention on with some wonder, some curiosity, some openness. Something about that is really charging you up, giving you some drive, giving you some direction. And so I think you'll be very much so in tune with the universe presenting you these grace and beauty motivations it has for you. Okay, let's look now on ways in which you should be nurturing yourself this month in order to kind of mature life around you. Courage. I make courage a daily practice through circumstances. Those circumstances may feel overwhelming. I know how I have what it takes as I take time to recall the various hardships I have already overcome. I cultivate courage for the new thing before me. I know that every act of courage, whether small or big, makes an impact far beyond what I may see. Yeah, I mean, the Scorpion definitely feels like there's some intensity around you right now. And this is a card of a lot of emotion. And so, yeah, there may be some emotion that you're presented with, that is sparked because of external things. That's pushing on some sort of courage you're trying to muster and nurture in yourself. And there may be something you're very deeply focused on in your life coming into and through March that you're needing to kind of find the courage to go toward, to go after, to find your power in. And so there's something about anything you can do to nurture and nourish your sense of courage. And that word courage is deeply connected to the heart. So what can you do to really nurture and nourish your heart? What things can you do to better connect to it, listen to it, understand its state, what it wants, how it is supposed to be the leader over your mind? These are things you can think about, create practices around, read up on, whatever you need to do. But there's, I think, something about your heart that could really also be a nice melding between this intense focus and intensity you have in yourself and the external world, trying to help you to understand emotionality better and in a more creatively responsive way. Coming from your heart is a beautiful way to help sort of figure out how these meld together. Okay, let's look at how you're relating. Beautiful connection. I mean, relationships are all about connection. Okay, the frequency of connection supports our ability to find alignment and resonance with others, things, and ideas, which is really beautiful for what the universe is trying to help you grow in and pushing you toward. It is all about in those understanding your emotions in relation to relationship, to what's around you. If you can find alignment and resonance with those things outside of you, I mean, that's most of the battle. And so that's something to focus on and something that is already like beautifully in your energy, but something to really, that's really noteworthy. That you're already in this place of being able, in your relational frequency, of being able to find alignments, resonances with others, things, and ideas. Lean into that. This is a huge bridge for intensity within, emotions that may be triggered, and how the universe is wanting you to better understand your emotions in relation to how you're connecting to other things around you. You're already like really well plugged into a beautiful facet of knowing how to do this really gracefully, beautifully. And in your relationships in general, I mean, there's not much to say here. I think your relationships will be going very well. I think you'll be finding those alignments and resonances that are correct for you. And coming from the heart, as you nourish your heart and your courage, also knowing when to say no because you feel resonances or alignments being off. So that understanding you have right now, that sensitivity in you of really understanding resonances and alignments, empowering you to say yes and no to the right things for you. Okay, let's look at your outer world stuff. Community, beautiful. Yeah, there's a deep stuff coming through here of really being aware of that ecosystem around you and how everything affects everything else. And the world is trying to push upon you how that's a really beautiful thing, and how those understanding of those relationships, especially when feelings and emotion are involved, can, even when those are hard, can be influential, inspiring, and beautiful when dealt with responsibly. And there's something that I think you can offer to community through this. But in general, this community card is over your place in the world this month. So you may be, in your, either work or school or whatever life, involved in a lot of meetings, a lot of collaboration, a lot of public facing things, a lot of stuff in your neighborhoods and your communities, just engagement. There's like a lot of engagement at work or school or whatever it is. So, which this card makes that feel fun. Sometimes that can feel like, I just need to be by myself. But something about this feels, there's a lot of, beauty here. There's a lot of, nourishment, fun. Yeah, it feels nice anyway. Okay, we are now going to do some tarot cards to see any other context that might want to come out around all of this. The Emperor. Makes sense for the Scorpion, but let's see what else comes out. High Priestess, beautiful. Oh, I've got 2 cards here. Page of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, and one more. Ooh. And 8 of Pentacles reversed. Okay, let's get these back in place. Okay, there we go. All right, so the Emperor doesn't surprise me with the Scorpion in your energy. I think you're very focused. You're giving order to things. There may be some new initiatives around you right now while you're feeling very focused and intense, is like there's new initiative, new clarity about something that you're trying to give order to. And so really having to kind of step into a big role, big shoes kind of thing. And around that, you are also incredibly connected to your intuition and your inner knowings. So I would recommend on both fronts, the Emperor and the High Priestess both need a lot of personal space to come into their centering. It's the it's like that centering for the High Priestess is getting that quiet, that stillness to go into the inner realm and find the knowings that are already there. And for the Emperor, he's trying to, like with a new direction, new something on his plate, and so having to give new order to things. Sometimes you have to be able to step back to get the clarity you need and to see how everything's kind of interacting and what needs to be done in order to establish some order. So a little bit of alone time, even though it does seem, we saw in your career or school or work card that there is going to be a lot of interaction there. Just make sure to balance that with some good alone time to find clarity, to see the big picture, to see your inner world, all of that. Yeah, new initiative. There's some sort of new initiative happening here, and definitely has the potential to really move commerce, move community, move something, some sort of productivity, some service, some purpose in the world. So it's a potent new thing coming through here. So it's really, and I get where this focus is coming from. Something's very important right now that you really ground in and establish the footing, the foundation for whatever's going on here. Because it has far-reaching potential, and it's like a very highly productive initiative. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I've lost it, but that's okay. It's important. Whatever it is you're trying to establish right now is important. It's far-reaching. It has, it is in a dream stage, and that's why you're trying to kind of ground it more. There's still like new things developing here, and that's okay. And what I want to say, maybe some of these feelings that you're going to be coming up against and intensity, is anytime there are new initiatives, there are bound to be both beginner's luck and false starts. And so you just have to take the wins and loses as they come. They don't mean anything in the big picture. what means something in the big picture is that you're following your passion and you are creating the right foundations to flourish. And I think that you have the right concepts in place, the right ideas in place, the right values in place. So it's just like really important that you're, creating and testing these foundations this month. And then with the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, this could be where some frustrations come in. There may be some skill sets that aren't quite as developed as you would like them to be going into this, either from you or people involved, or maybe you're bringing a new kind of skill set to an industry or an area of life. And so like having to even understand what that is and fully develop it. There's a skillfulness here that's still a little bit murky, but you're going in the, it feels like everything's going in the right direction, and it might just be sort of baptism by fire, and those skill sets will take shape of what's even needed in the skill sets as things progress, and they'll just develop as you experientially see what's needed. And because I feel like there's something new here. So it's not like you're coming in unprepared. It's just like in an irresponsible way. It's like there is some unpreparedness because there's something so new. And so the only way to even understand what needs to be further honed is just by getting into it, just by getting into it, this will become more clear the more you get into it. But it could create some frustration. It could create some emotional triggers. Some kind of skill set that's a little unformed as of yet. But as I said, the more you get into it, the more it will define itself, and you'll know how to hone that skill. I hope that all makes sense. Okay. That seems very specific, but that's what came. Okay. And, and there's a transformation happening here too, it seems like. So that could be part of the transformation, is like a new skill being identified that's needed, that actually makes something about you or what you're involved with a little bit more indispensable. Okay, to end this reading, we are going to pick a nice, beautiful feather message to leave you with, just a simple, uplifting something. Dove. Feel and allow a deeper sense of peace to fill you now. This is a divine quality, and this super connects to what the universe is trying to help you grow in. Grace, beauty. This is all about how to discharge emotions in a much more responsive and creative and graceful way. And this message coming through here is just like a double confirmation, as well as a boost of saying, like, you got this. You know how to do it. You're on it. Follow through with that, move along with it. Just basically, I think you got this. So, okay, this is where I'm going to end your March reading. I hope this March is really, really beautiful, where you have some breakthroughs, some transformations. You really start to understand your abilities with grace and beauty and the emotional, relational domain well, and you get some amazing thing underway here. And so much, a lot. So big March for you guys. All right, if this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Little comments are always fun to read as well. And definitely, if you're not subscribed yet, please do so. All right, I'll see you guys. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your March reading. You guys picked hexagram 62, attention to detail, which is thunder above and mountain below. So for these monthly readings, this card that you chose is ruling over sort of the external environment over the month. So something, the way I'm seeing it, is like something that the universe has an agenda around for you, where it's wanting to bring some focus and attention from you to go through some growth and experiences here to understand certain things. And then we're also going to look after that at your personal agenda. So where is your energy at? What are you focusing on? And then we'll see maybe how these two things, you know, can work together, and maybe where the challenges are as well of the two agendas, the external agenda and your personal agenda. Okay, so starting with this sort of agenda by the universe for you is attention to detail. And this is all about sort of coming into a very humble place. There may be something that the universe is trying to bring your attention to that you need to approach with humility, where you're trying to make progress, but you're either like in a low position here, or in a position with not a lot of resources, where you're just needing to be humble and kind of like go through the steps and be thorough and be responsible and put in your dues type of thing. And it's sort of like little by little, like not getting any grandiose ideas. There's something, yeah, the universe is wanting you to understand about something in your life revolving around this, that you can actually make great strides and accomplish great things over time with a slow and steady pace when you're coming from sort of a lower position, whether it's like low man on the totem pole, or you just don't have the resources to dream big right out of the gate. But with some humility and some just acceptance of where you are in your place, little by little, with focus and impeccability, great strides can actually be made. And so that, yeah, there's something the universe is wanting you to understand about that, about something in your life, having that quality around it and some growth that it can help you better, even if you do understand this, some sort of better, deeper kind of wisdom coming through around this. So I also love looking at, in terms of these I-Ching hexagrams, there's a system called Human Design that uses the hexagrams in astrology, and an offshoot of that called Gene Keys, which is sort of like a wisdom system based off of that. And you don't have to know what those are. I'm just sort of telling you where I'm getting this information from, but it has such beautiful insights. And so I love to look at it when I'm deciphering these cards and interpreting what is going on here. And in the Gene Keys, with each hexagram, there's sort of like a shadow side and a gift side. And so the way I sort of see this is wherever you are on the spectrum, and I'm going to kind of talk about this spectrum it lays out around this energy. It's not necessarily that you're starting from the lowest point and moving towards the highest point. You may be starting at a high point, but what's happening is wherever you are on the spectrum, the universe is wanting you to take some steps forward. So you may be low on the spectrum, you could be middle of the road, you could be high, and it doesn't matter. You're just supposed to, the universe is wanting you to take some steps here in terms of growth and understanding this energy. So in that spectrum, this 60-second hexagram, the low side anchors us into intellect versus intelligence. Intellect is very mind-centered versus true intelligence, which is a much more heart-centered thing. And then on the high side of this is impeccability, where we've figured out how to sort of overcome certain fears of allowing our heart and our feminine or yin side to be the leader and our minds to be the soldier kind of sort of circumstance. Sort of like the general is supposed to be the yin and the heart, and the worker is supposed to be the yang and the mind. And it can be really hard to trust that orientation of things. So on that low side, when we're really anchoring into intellect, because there's potentially some fear of really letting the heart lead, there's ways that we can either repress or react in our fear about needing our mind to be in control. And the repression is getting sort of an obsession kind of with things, like using your mind to keep track of every little thing and getting stuck in the minutia to kind of control on this mental level. It's kind of a repression of the heart when you kind of feel into that. Versus like there's also a reactive energy that happens in this lower shadow area. That's a bit more pedantic, where it's sort of like the mind almost becomes our captor and is constantly sort of like in this, it's coming from this place of insecurity and always needing to defend its position. So it's always sort of looking at any sort of potential aggressors, always feeling this thing of there might be an aggressor coming toward me. And so I'm always needing to find out the smartest arguments I can have to put any aggressor in its place. And this is actually like a really fear-based thing, to always be in this defensive, argumentative, intellectual superiority place. That's all coming from this fear. It's a reaction to fear of the heart being the center. And when you move further into figuring out how to center in your heart and how to allow your heart to lead, there's this thing of like starting to understand that you are your own cause of misery, and that by focusing in on the minutia of things instead of your own pain and your own fear, you trap yourself in your own sort of mental cages. And as soon as like you really, that sort of sinks in and you get it, you start to look at your own nature and you start to take responsibility for certain behaviors and certain suffering that's within you. And that switch starts to happen where that heart starts to be able to step up into the commanding role. And it's really like our feminine side unfolding, and a trust in this sort of more intuitive, unseen intelligence that we hold. So, and it knows much better when we let the heart lead how to work together with the mind. When the mind is in the lead, it's always repressing or reacting to the heart. It's never letting there be some sort of work together. It is always wanting to kind of push the heart down or strike out at the heart. And you could even look at that as a metaphor of how you're acting towards other people in that shadow place. Not saying that you're in the shadow place, but maybe even if you're at the high side, maybe you can relate. Maybe there's been times when you've been in that shadow, like earlier in your life. So wherever you feel like you come in on this spectrum, there's something that the universe is wanting to help you to grow in, involving how to trust your heart, how to drop into heart, how to allow the heart to take the role of the commander, and how by doing that you can start at very lowly places or meager places or zero resource places, and really over time with steady focus and steady effort make huge strides. And when it's flipped, we can be our own saboteur in terms of that kind of thing. So yeah, there's something the universe wants to engage you with in terms of this month. So let's take a look at where your agenda is, what your kind of personal energy is, and then maybe see how this could be interacting. So you've got the Lion, which is so encouraging to see, because the Lion is all about courage and being a commander, which is very centered in the heart. So that makes me feel like at least the majority of you are probably on the higher end of the spectrum, but maybe there's something that in your agenda you're really wanting to step into some sort of leadership role or commander role. And so I think you're very open to and accepting of maybe lessons and growth that the universe is wanting to bring your way to better help you find your courage, which lives in your heart, to be some kind of leader, commander type of step into some role with that. Yeah, but I think that you're already very much so in that energy, but there's just some extra growth to be had here because of something you're stepping into or you have your eye on. Yeah, which is really cool. I mean, this is such a crazy alignment. It's kind of astonishing. So, but really beautiful to see because it's very, very aligned. Okay, so let's look also at this Priestess of Light card, which is indicating what kind of sort of spiritual guidance and protection is coming in around you in March, which could also give us other clues as to happenings in the month. Oh, gorgeous. Abundance, fortune, wealth, and plenty. This makes me, so a whole different picture just came in. This makes me feel like almost like you're being recognized and rewarded for having done this energy well, having figured out how to step into your heart and lead your life from your heart, having started somewhere very at the bottom or with few resources in something. And I think that you're maybe coming into something in March where you're seeing how the little by little by little by little efforts you've made and through leading through your heart is suddenly all of a sudden, like overnight, you're suddenly in that position of power. That slow, steady progress is like manifesting into the big stride this month. And you're going to see material manifestation and recognition and reward from that. And I think you're really, really stepping in to a bigger place. Because you've built I think you've really built your character as a leader because you've proven that you can come from nothing and become something really impeccable. So you're being recognized for this impeccability you have, and the rewards are flooding in March. So I would say expect some sort of corner to be turned here. And I think this is just coming, I think the universe is bringing this to your attention to help you understand what it is you've maybe done intuitively, and understand that in an articulate way of how you've arrived here. And so like a deep meaning and understanding really anchoring in and coalescing around this energy, and the universe is trying to help show you why your successes are suddenly coming in, because they may feel almost like out of nowhere in some way, because you're used to going little by little by little, and then all of a sudden it's like something big and you're like, what happened? And I think the universe is putting some things in your environment to help you understand what that is all about. Okay, so now we are going to look at what I call your 4 cardinal directions. So the direction of self and what's giving you sort of motivation and drive. The direction of sort of grounding and foundation, so how you need to nurture yourself as well as life to help mature certain things. And then we'll look at your relational energy, which can be love relation, family relation, friend relation, work relation. It's just your relational vibration in general. And then we'll look at your outer world, sort of energy around your outer world stuff. So that could be career and work, or it could be school, or any other kind of responsibilities on your shoulders. Okay, so let's start with the direction of self. Gift. Beautiful. You really need to drop into a receptivity this month. And already knowing how to come from the heart and lead from the heart, that is actually a very receptive place. But be even more ready and more open, because there is some potential for some abundance coming your way, which could also be in the form of gifts. And there's something about being in a receptive mode and allowing things to input into your life that feel like gifts, because there's something about this that is really energizing you and really motivating you this month. So allow that to come in. And if you ever feel inspired to give someone else a gift, that it just sort of arises like it's an impulse, do that as well. There could be sort of giving and receiving taking place this month, but you need to be receptive minimally as much as you are feeling compelled to give something. Okay, let's look at what you're nurturing, or what you should be focusing on in terms of nurturing yourself and life this month. Intuition. Beautiful. I am connected to and honor my intuition. My intuition is my greatest ally, and my body is her temple. I am my greatest teacher. I am safe. When I trust my own knowing, I trust that my body is full of wisdom, and I choose to lean into her gentle inclinations. I think this is definitely indicating that your intuition is on point right now, coming into March. So to help sort of nurture and nourish life, to help it mature, make sure you're creating, really daily space, especially maybe like morning. I would honestly suggest like a 5 to 15 minute check-in every morning, where you just get really quiet, pose any questions in your heart, and just sit with them for, however, don't even put a timer on it, for however long it takes for your knowings to come through, and for some sort of settled feeling to come through around these questions in your heart, because your intuition is really on point. It knows how to lead you as well as your heart does. So just creating some every morning time to sit with that. Okay, now let's look at relational, beautiful intimacy. This is such a gorgeous pile so far. Okay, so the energy of intimacy supports us trusting that we are safe to allow closeness. And that does not happen unless you are leading from your heart. When you're leading from your mind, intimacy is always going to be filled with all sorts of yuck. Difficulty. I shouldn't say yuck. A lot of complicated things when you're leading from your mind and intimacy. So this is just showing, and I love the colors are really popping. I didn't notice so much in the other piles, not that there weren't beautiful things there, but something just in particular, something about this card and the way the colors are coming through to me in real life. On camera they don't look as beautiful, but in real life there's just something really gorgeous about these this organization of colors and kind of the mandala in there that just feel like things are flowing, things are working, your heart is open, alive, vibrating, radiating. And it's allowing intimacy, it's allowing closeness, it's connecting you to your intuition, it's making you receptive, it's making you feel inspired to give. It's so beautiful. This is a gorgeous reading, you guys. What a March. Okay, so looking at outer world, poised. Yeah, I think you're in your element right now, man. Poised, the lion, you're coming into your ultimate command. You're really stepping up onto the pedestal. You're really, you're shining, you're a star, you're standing out. You are standing out this month because of a long, long haul of impeccability, which has come due to allowing your heart to lead and coming from nothing and making it to somewhere much, much greater than where you started. And that's being noticed. That's being sort of like, well, how did that person get there? It's the heart, and it's humility, heart, and step-by-step, steady, impeccable progress. That's what it is. And it's made you an absolute noble commander with absolute grace and poise. And wow, I mean, I would love to hear in the comments how this is hitting for people that come to this pile. And it's not to say that all of a sudden you're, the CEO of some Fortune 500 company, but think about whatever unfolds in March, think about where you started from. And that's what this is about. Somewhere you started from versus whatever unfolds in March, and what it took to get there, and what kind of impeccability that has impressed in your character. Gorgeous. All right, we are going to now look at some tarot cards to get any extra context that wants to come out around this. And it's so funny. I was sort of thinking, as I was directing people to, in the intro, to not pay attention to the title, I specifically had sort of like, it caught my eye. I'm like, I bet a lot of people won't pick attention to detail. That doesn't sound particularly fun compared to some of the other cards, maybe. And I was like, but I knew in my, because I know, having done these readings using this same kind of method for some time, how the titles are usually so deceiving. But even in myself, I was like, I don't know if I would pick that pile though, but But, you know, I don't know. I am pretty good about going where I'm drawn to go, even if it feels like, but I don't know. It was just funny that I had in my mind, like, I bet a lot of people won't pick this pile if they're in their minds, you know, instead of feeling which pile's drawing them to here. So even coming to this pile, I feel like is a beautiful feat of listening to your heart. Okay, we've got 7 of Pentacles. Oh, that makes so much sense. It's crazy. King of Swords. Five of Wands. Whoops. Well, we'll just take those, I guess. I'm usually doing 5 cards, but it looks like we've got 6 for you. Let's move these. 5 of Wands. Yeah, okay. 8 of Cups. Interesting. Queen of Swords reversed. And the Death card. Okay. Interesting. We have King of Swords and then Queen of Swords reversed. That's an interesting parallel. I'm going to work my way through. I think that will download what that's about. That's an interesting thing to just anyway. Okay, so 7 of Pentacles makes absolute sense to me. This is all about having sown some seeds that you then spend a lot of time and effort cultivating and tending to, knowing that maybe not all of them will come to fruition, but investing in yourself and investing in several things as like a beautiful strategy to help life flourish. And minimally, one of these things is flourishing now because you've put in that effort of believing in yourself to invest in yourself, believing in yourself to initiate something, to plant something, and believing enough to cultivate this, to tend to it, to nourish it, to nurture it. And it is fruiting now. And then we've got the King of Swords and the 5 of Wands. I kind of want to read together, and I kind of want to read those together actually. That's starting to come into focus. So King of Swords and 5 of Wands to me is, I think that you are coming into the month having laid out some very thorough and well established strategy, but having listened deeply to your heart in that strategy, and it being solid enough that your sort of mental authority or knowledge base in something really has the framework it then needs to really affect some kind of leadership or change or influence that it's needing to wield. But yeah, some kind of strategy where you've really listened to your heart has been kind of orchestrated. Yeah, and it's a beautiful framework to be able to use some knowledge base you have very masterfully, which feels like, you know, the lion energy coming in here. So then we've got the 8 of Cups, which is all about walking away from something that was sort of, you know, it's like no longer, it either hasn't been kept up, so it's sort of falling apart, or it was never built right in the first place, so it's sort of shaky anyway. But there is something, which is definitely new context coming through, that looks like you might be walking away from this month. Oh, okay. No, I think this is growth you're going through. There's always room for growth in terms of any of these hexagrams. I think that there still is some aspect of your lion energy, your courage and heart and commander, that still sort of like secretly nurtures, like enables the mind sometimes to think it's more in charge than it is. And you're seeing where the cracks are around that. I think in the big picture, you've done like a really good job with the heart as commander, but there's some either area of your life or piece of what this is where you have enabled your mind to think it's more important than it is. And this, like, I'm getting that picture of, like the queen who enables her bratty son, even though she knows he's not capable of what he's supposed to be kind of stepping into and is kind of a shitty human. Not saying that you are, but there is something about you that's had that quality that's enabled some aspect of your mind to be maybe a little, I don't want to say bratty, but like be a little stunted, I guess you could say, or entitled or something like that. It's just like this little piece. And I think seeing the progress and impeccability that this method of coming from the heart has created makes it glaringly obvious where you've not done that well. I don't think this has to do with where these successes are coming in. I think this has to do with something else. And you're seeing that this methodology of allowing your heart to be the commander in some aspect of your life that's now coming into fruition, it's making glaringly obvious where you've not done that well. And the cracks are showing, and it's sort of like you already knew it was there, just like the queen already knows she's enabling some sort of entitled child. It just makes it almost impossible to keep doing that now about some other area of your life. And so you get the courage to put a stop to that and walk away from whatever this relates to for you. Yeah, a death to that, a transformation here. So even though there is what we've been talking about for previous to now in this reading, that all stands, but it's just making something else about your life where you've not used the same methodology so obvious and so impossible to continue on with that you're putting a stop to it. You're walking away, you're finding the courage to step into that lion energy around whatever this is to you. But there is something that has a very different energy in your life where you've come at it in a very different way that has created something that's either entitled or now spoiling, or was never going to come into a full potential or full development because there was just some enabling behaviors. And it's, like this is going to fall away this month because it's going to become so obvious that it just can't continue, and just seeing how important it is to be this courageous heart leader versus kind of sinking into and succumbing to certain fears and enabling certain fears and behaviors and whatnot. So I don't know what this has to do with. Maybe we should pick What card could we pick to get some insight into what this is about? Let's see. I want to pick. I just feel like we need insight there. Let's pick another animal, because this is sort of, to me, it's like I don't know that it will tell us exactly what this is, but it might help you identify it better, because we really can relate that lion energy to what is going right and what's really coming into its power. And so what kind of animal energy is ruling over this? It might just help make that connection or association more clear of what this is for you. Maybe that's why I can't think of a specific deck to identify what it is, because it might be very different for everyone, but we can see what animal energy may have been going on here. Weaving something together. I'm thinking of spider behavior in more of the negative, so kind of entrapping something. That's actually what I get. There's like something that's you're trying to like trap, tangle in a web. Yeah, something you're trying to trap, control, tangle in a web. Possess, make yours. I'm thinking of like the Black Widow that, kills her male spider. Not that fully relates, but yeah, there's something here that you are trying to, that was like, the way you were leading was, more from this kind of entangling and trapping energy. And it's just like, it just feels like a mess to me now. And it's sort of like you see this impeccability where you've led a different aspect of your life and how well that's going and how messy this thing is. And it's like, oh, like you get it. Oh, if I came at this from my heart, this wouldn't be so messy, and this is never going to be untangled. I just need to walk away. I need to stop whatever this is. And maybe it's something you've gotten entangled in. Maybe this is the behavior of someone else even. But there's something messy in your life where there's some entangled and trapped and sort of covert agendas. And it's just, so like you're either getting the courage to walk away from something that's done that to you, or you're seeing more clearly how you came at something in a way that just is really never going to work well, and getting the courage then after seeing how a different part of your life has gone so well from coming from a very different energy. And so finding that courage to walk away. Whatever it is, you're channeling the energy of the tiger, the courage, or of the lion, that you're refocusing that lion toward this, to find the courage to walk away, whether it was you that created the tangles or that you that got tangled in someone else's tangles. But it's done. You see it way too clearly now, and it's just like, no, this is all wrong. So, okay, I hope that was helpful. Let's get a last feather message from the universe, with something light and positive to leave you guys with. And again, there's so much the universe is wanting to say. You got, I've just been doing one, but 3 fell out, so let's see what we've got. Blue Jay, the time is right to access and master your abilities. Do so with humility and control. Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been talking about. I don't think I have to unpack that. Vulture, accept the inevitable, let go of the past, and welcome a rebirth to begin. That's this. time to let go of something from the past. This is, yeah, out with the old, and it's making room for something else. And then we've got Turkey. Honor your own time of harvest, the abundance. Offer your gifts, which we had the gift for that self spot in the cardinal directions. Offer your gifts and blessings as service to the greater good. So that does indicate there is like a, you know, a more equal flow than I was feeling around giving and receiving in terms of gifts. Giving gifts, receiving gifts, just put that into flow. Coming from this place of feeling some abundance coming in. Honor your harvest. When you're overflowing in things, it's very easy to give, and once you're giving out, more things start to come in, and it's just this beautiful flow. So allow that to happen. So time to vulture this, honor your abundance, and step up into your abilities that came through your humility and, yeah, control through the heart. Beautiful. All right. Wow, what a March for you guys. This is very, very powerful and interesting. So this is where I'm going to leave you. I hope everything that comes to fruition for you guys is amazing. If this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Little comments are fun to read as well, and definitely subscribe if you're not yet. All right, see you guys.